Buongiorno. So here we are just going to have a quick look at simplifying algebraic fractions. This is a skill that won't necessarily be examined as an explicit question in the exam, but being able to competently and confidently rearrange expressions or equations is a skill that's going to be assumed in the exam. And particularly when we're looking at differentiating and integrating, you're really going to be able to need to move bits around and to get your answer simplified as far as possible to make sure you are gaining those last couple of marks at the end of each of the questions. So I'll have a look at this and we'll get started. So first of all, we know that if we consider our numbers from lower down the score, so for example, if I had 2/9 divided by a third, the way that we would go about this is to multiply by the reciprocal. Okay, so we would take this fraction here and we turn that upside down to give us 3/1. The over 1 isn't essential, but we'll just pop it in anyway. And the opposite of the division is obviously multiplication. And then you can, okay, so 2 times 3 is 6/9. So you can do it that way, and once you get to your answer there, you can see that both numbers can be divided by 3, so I'll get 2/3. That's one option. There is the facility, though, that if you are multiplying fractions, so if I take that same question there, you are able to cancel down sort of opposite diagonals. So I'll just circle what I mean by that. So we could cancel down 2 and 1, were they, for example, multiples of 2, so if that was 2 and 4. At the moment, we can't. 2 is a prime number, so clearly we can't really cancel that down anymore. Let's have a look at the other ones then. So the 3 and the 9, they can be cancelled down. So for 3, I know that that goes into itself once, and a 3 goes into 9 3 times. So when it comes to doing the multiplication now, I've got 2 times by 1, which is 2, and in my denominators, I've got 3 times by 1, which gives me 2/3. So you can get straight to the answer if you're willing to cancel down earlier on. So let's take this exact same skill and apply it to our algebraic fractions on the side here. Okay then, so we'll start off by multiplying by the reciprocal. So here I've got the x plus 2 over the x plus 4, and I know from what I did with my numbers, I'm going to multiply that by the reciprocal, so I've got x squared minus 16 over 3x plus 6. So now we're looking to cancel down with the diagonals, the opposite diagonals, again the same as we did with that 3 and 9. The first thing you really need to do, though, especially with this side, is consider factorising to see if there's anything there that will cancel out, because at the moment it doesn't look like we have got anything whatsoever that's going to cancel out. So on the top line, this is something to always look out for. On the top line there, I have got the difference of 2 squares, haven't I? That x is squared, 16 is a square number, and that's what you've got to be looking for if at first it doesn't look like it can be factorised. You're always looking for square numbers. So those are 4, 9, 16, 25, 36, 49, always looking for those in the question. Okay, so let's move on. So I have the x plus 2 over the x plus 4, multiplying that. So when I do factorise this, I'll have x plus 4 and x minus 4. That's how we end up essentially with 0x in that middle part, because I have a positive and a negative. And in my denominator, I can see that there's a common factor of 3 there. So if I take that out, I'd need to times that by x, and then I'd need to times it by 2 there. Lovely. So now we are in a position to cancel out our diagonals. So I have got this x plus 4 here, which marries up to this x plus 4 here. So dividing both of those leaves us with 1. And here I've got an x plus 2, which will divide with that x plus 2, again leaving you with just the 1. So in my numerator here, I've just now got 1 times by an x minus 4, which will give me x minus 4. And in my denominator, I now have 1 times by just that 3. So there we have the 3. If you prefer, you could also leave it as a third x minus 4. but that's completely up to you. Okay, so now that we've had a look at that, I would suggest that you turn to page 6, exercise 1B, and just have a go at question 2A to 2F, just to really get a feel for doing those skills for yourself.